Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at the Hungarian Parliament building located in Budapest, Hungary, constructed in 1904 by architect Imre Steindl. During the late 1800s, Hungarian government officials had come to the decision that their country needed an official government building to represent their nation's greatness, during which time a competition arose to construct a parliament house in the capital of Budapest, which noted the country's first international architectural competition. The Hungarian Parliament building sits on the left bank of the Danube River on the Pest side of Budapest and is designed to symbolize national independence and be a model for Hungarian statehood. In doing so, it holds the country's most important ceremonial chambers, including the House of Representatives, debating chamber, and upper house chamber. There were endless debates when deciding on the style of the national building, as it was intended to be a style that represented the country, although the nation had no style for itself. When the architect and competitor Imre Steindl came up with a design that depicted a mix of styles, including a strong adhering to Gothic architecture, with incorporation of Renaissance and Baroque elements, country officials adapted and accepted the design. The project took a total of 24 years to complete and became one of the largest parliament buildings in the world at 314 feet tall and 880 feet long, all while featuring 10 courtyards within. From the exterior, Gothic architecture overpowers the Hungarian Parliament building, yet the building also depicts Renaissance and Baroque style through Steindl's use of symmetry, material, and his incorporation of a centralized dome. Steindl's fusion of architectural principles lends its hand to French Baroque architecture, British neo-Gothic parliament houses, specifically modeled after Westminster in London, and classic Italian architecture. The symmetrical facade on the Danube elevation of the Hungarian Parliament building represents the essence of Gothic architecture. The grandeur and ornate decoration on the facade are one of the most important principles featured that represents Gothic architecture. The building features two vertical towers surrounding the central dome that are virtually identical in size and shape, designed to represent equality in the chambers. The lateral towers housing the upper houses and representatives create vertical emphasis for the dome, which reaches up to 314 feet in height. Featured in the towers are wrought iron grills that seem to soften the exterior, all while adding emphasis to Gothic design. Steindl organized the Houses of Parliament layout similarly to London's Houses of Parliament, where he designs a bicameral system and incorporates a dome that crosses the two axes of the building. The building features a main entrance on the backside where pedestrians can have easy accessibility, and another 16 points of entry dispersed around the building's facade. The main entrance on the city side of the building features elements of Gothic and classical styles through his incorporation of a sharp arch of columns and piers, wrought iron gate, and ornated stone statues of angels carrying heavenward that symbolize a relief of historical Hungary's coat of arms. The arches featured have a gabled ceiling above them, an incorporation that had been widely used in classical churches and other significant government buildings. On the Danube facade, he incorporates more statues that represent Hungarian kings, all in chronological order from north to south. The decoration of these statues contain no features of Gothic architecture. Rather, they're implemented to symbolize Hungary's nation. In total, Steindl features 90 external statues and 162 statues in the interior, still less than half that he had originally hoped for. The first floor of the Parliament House contains the building's most important chambers as well as a plethora of offices where the majority of artwork is placed. In fact, 1/3 of the building's most important artwork is centralized in these chambers. The Parliament House itself is also a symbol of hierarchy for the city of Budapest and the nation. With a total space of 1,800 square meters, divided in 4 stories, it is well known as one of the largest, most extravagant parliament buildings in Europe, and the largest building in Hungary. According to Hungarian law, no other building can be as tall or as vast as this one in the city of Budapest. In Steindl's selection for materials, he includes 40 million bricks for the walls, 30,000 cubic meters of carved stone for the sheathing, and an equivalent of 40 kilograms or of 22 to 23 karat gold within the interior. The Hungarian Parliament House depicts contrast throughout its monochromatic exterior and colorful interior. Steindl designs the interior making use of differentiating colors and associating it with Baroque and Renaissance styles through his incorporation of Renaissance paintings located on the ceilings and the addition of marble and gold finishes. The Renaissance paintings included on the ceilings were shown to demonstrate Hungary's flora, one of the symbols to represent their nation. Generally, Steindl would only commission Hungarian artists to paint the ceilings and attempt to use Hungarian materials, stimulating several branches of the industry. Featured in the grand staircase are the Apotheosis of Hungary and the Apotheosis of Legislation, painted by Károly Lotz, one of Hungary's greatest artists at the time. The Renaissance artworks generally depicted scenes of historical times in the nation and lent the sensation of national character. Throughout the endless corridors, groin vault ceilings play a role in Gothic style. A mix of style is shown, however, when Steindl includes highly ornated Corinthian marble columns and capitals with gold bases that associate classical elements of Italian architecture. Similar columns can be found throughout the entire building, such as in the National Assembly Hall. This space implements more elements that correlate to Renaissance and Baroque style through the symmetrical arches, coffered ceiling, and addition of paintings such as the Parliament of 1848 and the Coronation of Franz Joseph, both paintings that depict significant historical Hungarian events. Steindl further evokes Hungarian independence in the space by including ceramic ornated crafts in the upper gallery of this room, within which he includes allegorical figures of glory, concord, wisdom, eloquence, peace, and war, to remind legislators of the required virtues of their posts and impact of their decisions. In Europe at the time. Because the process was not so common, construction for the dome shell took builders another 8 years alone. Steindl uses symmetry to symbolize unity of legislator and venue for the two chambers, creating virtually identical towers and emphasizing them with a 96-meter-tall dome. Further emphasizing Baroque style, he incorporates large, curved, and geometrical forms within the interior of the dome and gold and marble elements. The central dome contained a great number of significant ceremonies and served as a ceremonial home for the Hungarian Holy Crown and coronation regalia. Steindl further symbolizes Hungarian independence in the interior of the dome by placing the coronation crown in a glass box protected by soldiers and implementing more figures of Hungarian history on top of gilded marble columns. The arcades around the central tower contain decorative vaulted groin ceilings and timber console structures that were present in English Gothic architecture. Steindl's Hungarian Parliament House displays a fusion of architectural styles and structural principles through numerous ways. From the exterior, the facade evokes details of Gothic architecture through height, stained glass windows, ornate decoration, tracery, and flying buttresses. However, when stepping into this impressive building, visitors are perplexed by the changing of styles and little association to Gothic architecture inside. This fusion of architectural principles lends its hand to a reinvention of Gothic architecture that is used to symbolize a national identity for Hungary. The interior elements evoke French Baroque and Classical Renaissance while the surface is completely Gothic. Through symmetry, materiality, and incorporation of a Classical Renaissance dome feature, Steindl is able to create a building that symbolizes Hungarian statehood in a unique manner while housing Hungarian legislation for a century. I hope you all enjoyed the tour of the Hungarian Parliament building. See you next time in Budapest.